She showed up to work with a broken hand. Her boss called her lazy, but what nobody knew was the real reason behind her pain and who was secretly watching from the corner booth. Undercover owners saw a waitress with a broken hand in his diner. Maya Johnson balanced trays with one arm wrapped in bandages, pushing through the pain while her manager, Victor Langford, tore into her for every tiny mistake. Customers whispered, some pitying, others shaking their heads at his cruelty. What no one knew was that her injury wasn't just an accident, and Victor was hiding something far darker. Watching from the corner booth, Samuel Brooks, the undercover owner, realized things didn't add up. The deeper he dug, the more disturbing the truth became. Before we go any further, if this is your first time watching one of our videos, we'd love for you to hit that subscribe button. Your support means the world to us, and it helps us bring you even more powerful stories. Stick with us till the very end, and if the story moves you, drop your thoughts in the comments and share it with a friend. Now, let's begin. The diner smelled of burnt coffee and fried bacon that never quite left the air. Morning rush hour meant the counter buzzed with chatter, the hiss of the grill and the shuffle of plates stacked high. In the middle of it all was Maya Johnson. She was hard to miss, not because she made a scene, but because she worked like three people rolled into one. Her hair tied back, apron already stained. She carried steaming mugs in her good hand while balancing plates against her hip. The other hand, her left, was wrapped in bandages that stretched to her wrist. Anyone watching closely could see the stiffness in her movements, the quick flinch whenever her fingers brushed something by mistake. But Maya smiled anyway. That was her shield. Behind the counter, Victor Langford leaned against the register, smirking as he barked orders. "Pick it up, Maya. Don't keep people waiting. This isn't a charity house," he sneered, loud enough for customers to hear. A few looked up, shaking their heads, whispering. At table 3, 2 women in business. Suits leaned closer. "Poor thing. Look at her hand. She shouldn't even be here." "Yeah, but Victor's always on her case. Never lets up. I don't know how she puts up with him." Maya heard them. She heard everything. The laughter, the pity, the digs Victor made. Every time she moved slower than usual, and yet she kept going because for her, quitting wasn't an option. Rent didn't wait. Bills didn't care. By mid-morning, sweat had gathered at the back of her neck. Her good arm ached from carrying too much weight alone. She sat down an order at table 6, whispered softly, "Enjoy your meal," and turned, only to bump straight into Victor, the desk. Collision sent a glass of water spilling across his shirt. The diner went silent. Victor leaned in so close she could smell the sour coffee on his breath. Clumsy again? Or just looking for excuses? A few customers shifted uncomfortably. Someone muttered, "Man, give her a break." But Victor ignored them. His eyes locked on Maya like a predator savoring his control. She mumbled an apology, reached for a towel with her good hand, but he snatched it away. His lips curled into a grin only she could see, the kind that told her this wasn't about the spill. It was about dominance, and the worst part, she knew why. Weeks earlier, she had overheard Victor bragging about skimming money from the register. She hadn't meant to listen. She was just cleaning tables after closing when his voice carried through the thin office door. At first, she thought she misheard, but when she pressed her ear closer, every word confirmed it. Victor was stealing. And when he caught her outside that night, frozen in the hallway, she remembered the flash of anger in his eyes, the way his hand shot out and twisted her wrist until something cracked. The pain had dropped her to her knees, but Victor only sneered. "Clumsy, huh? Better stay that way. One word about what you heard and you won't just lose your job." Now, with her hand bound and useless, she was the one being marked as incompetent. By the end of her shift, Maya's body was trembling from exhaustion. She leaned against the back counter, whispering a quiet prayer that no one heard. She didn't know it yet, but someone had been watching her every move. Someone she thought was just another customer grabbing a cheap meal. Most customers came and went without much thought, eating their pancakes, tipping if they felt generous, and rushing back into the world. But one man never seemed to rush. He was older, maybe late 60s, with white hair trimmed neat and boots that had seen more road than city sidewalks. Folks called him the vet because of the way he carried himself, straight-backed even when sitting, eyes sharp even when silent. Most thought he was just another retiree passing the time over a plate of eggs. Nobody knew that Samuel Brooks was the actual owner of the diner. For years, Samuel had kept his identity hidden, preferring to blend in with the regular crowd. He believed you saw the truth when people thought no one important was looking. That morning, Samuel stirred his coffee slowly, his gaze fixed on Maya. He'd been watching her for weeks now, always working harder than the others, always the one Victor targeted. But today, with her hand bound in thick bandages, it was different. Every tray she carried looked like it might slip at any second. Every smile seemed carved out of pain. At the next booth, two young men whispered loud enough for Samuel to catch. "Man, that manager's got it out for her." "Yeah, I've seen others slack off plenty, but he never says a word to them. Just her." Samuel's jaw tightened. He had run businesses long enough to recognize bias when he saw it, and cruelty. When the lunch crowd thinned, Samuel quietly asked for the manager. Victor swaggered over, assuming it was just another customer complaint. "Food not hot enough? Coffee too bitter?" he smirked. Samuel shook his head. "Just wondering about that waitress. She's injured. Why is she working the floor?" Victor's grin faltered for a split second, then returned. "Her? She's clumsy, always messing up. Half the reports in this place are on her, but she begged to stay on the shift, so I let her. You know, I'm generous like that." Samuel nodded slowly, though inside every word tasted like a lie. Generous? No. He'd seen the way Victor sneered, the way the customers whispered, the way Maya pushed through pain just to keep her dignity. That afternoon, Samuel slipped into the back office under the pretense of looking for the restroom. Papers were scattered across the desk. His eyes landed on a stack of misconduct forms, page after page with Maya's name across the top. Each one accusing her of petty things, spilled drinks, forgotten orders, bad attitude. But Samuel had eaten there for months. He'd never once seen Maya act out of line. He flipped further and found something worse. Cash register tallies that didn't add up. Every week the numbers dipped, but no reports had been filed. His stomach sank. He knew what theft looked like. Victor wasn't just cruel. He was dirty. That night, Samuel stayed longer than usual, sipping his coffee while the diner emptied. As the last customers left, Victor retreated to the office. The door didn't close all the way, and voices drifted out. "Another $5,000, easy," Victor bragged, laughter spilling into the hallway. "And when they notice the cash missing, that little waitress takes the fall. She's already got the most write-ups. Nobody's going to believe her over me." A second voice snorted. "You're playing with fire, man. What if she talks?" Victor's voice dropped colder. "She won't. Not with that hand. Broke it good enough to remind her who's in charge." Samuel froze in the shadows, fists curling tight. This wasn't just theft. It was abuse. He thought of Maya smiling through the pain, carrying on like nothing had happened, and something inside him twisted. The conversation ended with drunken laughter. Samuel slipped out the side door into the night, the cool air cutting across his face. For the first time in years, his military instincts stirred. The truth was out, and tomorrow the mask would come off. The morning rush returned like clockwork. Coffee pots hissing, forks clinking, voices rising and falling across the diner. Maya moved between tables, her wrapped hand stiff against her apron. To most, she looked like just another tired worker pushing through the pain. To Samuel, she looked like someone carrying a weight far heavier than dishes. But today, wasn't going to be just another day. Samuel entered quietly. Same boots, same denim jacket, but this time, his shoulders squared differently. He wasn't here as a customer. He was here as the owner. Victor was by the counter laughing too loudly, joking with two waitresses who rolled their eyes when his back turned. The second he saw Samuel, his grin faltered. "You again? Back for the eggs?" Samuel didn't answer. Instead, he walked to the middle of the diner and tapped his spoon gently against his coffee cup. The soft metallic ring drew curious looks from every booth. Conversations quieted. Forks paused. Maya froze mid-step, her eyes darting toward him. "Morning, everyone," Samuel began, his voice calm but firm. "I think it's time you all know who I really am." The morning rush returned like clockwork. Coffee pots hissing, forks clinking, voices rising and falling across the diner. Maya moved between tables, her wrapped hand stiff against her apron. To most, she looked like just another tired worker pushing through the pain. To Samuel, she looked like someone carrying a weight far heavier than dishes. But today wasn't going to be just another day. Samuel entered quietly. Same boots, same denim jacket, but this time, his shoulders squared differently. He wasn't here as a customer. He was here as the owner. Victor was by the counter laughing too loudly, joking with two waitresses who rolled their eyes when his back turned. The second he saw Samuel, his grin faltered. "You again? Back for the eggs?" Samuel didn't answer. Instead, he walked to the middle of the diner and tapped his spoon gently against his coffee cup. The soft metallic ring drew curious looks from every booth. Conversations quieted. Forks paused. Maya froze mid-step, her eyes darting toward him. "Morning, everyone," Samuel began, his voice calm but firm. "I think it's time you all know who I really am." Victor chuckled nervously. "What? You writing a book or something?" Samuel's gaze locked on him. "No, I own this diner." The room went dead silent. A fork clattered onto a plate. Maya's eyes widened, her lips parting in shock. For years, nobody knew the old man at the corner booth was the one signing their paychecks. Victor barked out a laugh, though his face drained pale. You're joking." Samuel pulled a folder from under his jacket and placed it on the counter. Pages spilled out. Misconduct reports, financial sheets, register logs. "I've watched long enough. I know what you've been doing, Victor. Every false report you filed against Maya, every dollar you skimmed from the register, and I know what you did to her hand." Gasps rippled through the diner. Customers turned in their seats. The two women from the business table whispered. "I knew it! I knew he was dirty!" Victor stammered, his voice cracking. "This is ridiculous! You can't prove—" Before he could finish, two uniformed officers walked through the door. Samuel had called them that morning. Their presence alone silenced the room. Victor's bravado shattered. "Wait, you can't! This isn't—" But the cuffs snapped around his wrists before he could finish. The diner erupted in murmurs as Victor was let out. His protests drowned beneath the clink of chains. Maya stood frozen, her good hand pressed against her chest. For once, Victor wasn't looming over her. For once, the weight of blame had shifted. Samuel turned to her, his voice softer now. "You've carried this place on your back. While others lied about you, you kept it running. From today forward, you're not just a waitress. You're the new floor supervisor." Maya blinked, tears pooling in her eyes. The bandage on her hand trembled as she pressed it against her lips, a muffled sob escaping. Customers clapped, some quietly, some loud enough to echo. For the first time in years, Maya straightened her shoulders, not as the woman people pitied, but as someone finally seen for who she truly was. Outside, Victor's shouts faded as the police car pulled away. Inside, the diner smelled the same, burnt coffee and grease, but the air felt different, lighter, cleaner. Samuel sat back at his usual booth, coffee in hand. But this time, he wasn't just watching. He was smiling because justice had finally been served. Never underestimate the quiet strength of those who keep showing up, even when the world tries to break them. Maya's story proves that truth always wins, and justice always finds the guilty. If you believe stories like this should be told, hit that subscribe button, share this video with someone who needs to hear it, and drop a comment below, because your voice matters too. Maya Johnson, young black woman, late 20s, modest waitress uniform, apron, hair tied back, left hand wrapped in white bandages. Victor Langford, white man, mid-40s, slick hair, diner manager uniform, button shirt, tie loosened, smug expression. Samuel Brooks, older white man, late 60s, veteran look, short white hair, rugged boots, denim jacket, calm but observant. I'll keep their look the same across all prompts for continuity. Each prompt is cinematic, 16.9, photorealism, bold contrast, designed for YouTube storytelling thumbnails or video visuals.